We all want to make a living and to work and feel productive. And for that to happen, we have to keep the workplace free from sexual harassment. The people of C.N. Brown have a strict policy against sexual harassment in the workplace. It will not be tolerated from managers, employees, job applicants, vendors, contractors, or customers. But in order to prevent it, we have to know just what it is and what it isn't. What is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment isn't just bad behavior. It's a form of discrimination, and it's against the law. Specifically, the law defines sexual harassment in the workplace as unwelcome verbal or physical sexual advances made by a supervisor as a term or condition of employment. Any suggestion or implication that sex is required to get a job, a promotion, or favorable work conditions. It is also any kind of unwelcome sexual conduct that causes a hostile work environment for the victim and the whole company. How can you recognize sexual harassment if you're an observer, a victim, or even a possible harasser?
Morning, Linda.
Hi, Phil.
Here you go. Hey, Linda, you look great. Is that new?
Oh, yeah, I went to the outlets. It was 50% off. Do you like it?
I do. Is that what you did this weekend?
It was crowded, but it's worth it for the prices. What you want to do is get there early. Anytime.
Was Phil's compliment appropriate, or was it sexual harassment? We need to apply two important criteria. First, what happened must be evaluated from the recipient's point of view. Second, social compliments must be gender-neutral and non-sexual. What was Linda's point of view? She took Phil's comment about her clothes as a friendly remark, and the compliment was gender-neutral. It could have been said about a man or a woman, and it was non-sexual. The definition of sexual harassment says this conduct must be unwelcome. This was not sexual harassment. How about this situation? Would this be sexual harassment?
Hey, Cheryl, I've got 2 tickets to the basketball game Friday night. I'm wondering, would you be interested in going?
Thanks for the invite, Don, but I have plans for Friday.
Oh.
Listen, do you need any help with that project? I might have some time after I finish that report.
This does not seem to be sexual harassment. Again, first look at the interaction from Cheryl's point of view. We might not be sure if the conduct was unwelcome or not, but Don offered his social invitation in a friendly manner. It was gender neutral and non-sexual. If Don keeps asking Cheryl out and Cheryl keeps saying no, that could constitute sexual harassment. If either of these conversations, even with the very same words, were laced with sexual insinuations, suggestive body language, and an offensive attitude, they could be considered sexual harassment. Sometimes it's not so much what you say as how you say it. Before we hear more about what sexual harassment is, let's review what sexual harassment is not. It isn't socially acceptable compliments or innocent social invitations, and it isn't conduct that is invited, solicited, encouraged, or welcomed. Exchanging information and trading business-related favors are common practices in the working world. But another kind of exchanging or trading is against the law, and it's sexual harassment.
It's a nice resume, Heather, but is there more?
How do you mean?
I need someone who'll go the extra mile, put in extra effort, be flexible. Do you understand?
Well, I do think I have a strong work ethic.
Perhaps I'm not making myself clear. Here, I've written my cell phone number and a place I'd like to meet you tonight to continue the interview. Over a glass of wine, if you'd like.
This is the lounge of a hotel.
I stay there when I'm in town. It's very convenient. I'll see you there tonight. Can I count on you, Heather?
This is not the kind of situation that might be sexual harassment. This is sexual harassment. The implication by the manager that accepting his invitation to go out for a drink might mean a job offer makes it a very specific kind of sexual harassment called quid pro quo. Quid pro quo is a legal term that comes from Latin, and it means this for that. Accepting this, an unwelcome sexual advance, could mean that, a job, a promotion, better assignments, any number of things. It happens when someone at work abuses their position of power. It's wrong, and it's illegal.
I like having a real man in this office, not these immature boys.
I really don't think you should be doing that.
Oh, go on. You like your job, don't you? I'd hate to see you have to transfer to a department that's not as friendly.
She's suggesting that complying with her request will mean continued favorable job assignments. This for that. Another type of sexual harassment is just as illegal, and to some, it's more difficult to identify and prevent. It's called hostile environment harassment. Hostile environment harassment is unwelcome conduct which has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with an employee's job performance or creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive working environment. This definition applies to a whole range of behavior, including staring suggestively at the employee, eyeing the employee up and down, making sexual gestures or facial expressions, repeatedly asking a coworker for a date, requesting sexual favors in exchange for job benefits, repeatedly using terms of affection such as honey or sweetie, making sexual or gender-based jokes or comments, following, blocking, or cornering a co-worker, touching, grabbing, hugging, kissing. Hostile environment harassment includes having posters or screensavers with sexual content in the workplace, viewing those NSFW or not safe for work video clips or other inappropriate content on the internet, exchanging crude jokes or video clips through email, text message, or other electronic means, or its low-tech ancestor, telling sexual or gender-based jokes and stories, or other sexual content-tinged banter. Yes, it's been going on for ages, but it's wrong, and it's not because of some notion of what's sometimes called political correctness. It's because it's the law.
There I am, in the shower, covered with soap, and there's no water. Can you imagine such a thing?
No, but I'm working on it.
You know why a diet soda is better than a man? It's always satisfying, you can dump it when you've had enough, and it comes in a variety of sizes.
Oh.
And she'd have a flat head so you'd have some place to put your beer!
That's pretty good. I'll have to remember that. And she'd have a flat head so you'd have some place to put your beer.
I don't think that's funny at all.
Incidentally, the joke was just as inappropriate when the joke teller had an all-male audience. This sort of thing is not appropriate for the workplace under any circumstances.
I don't know if I'll go out again with the guy I went out with last night. He was just a little too much of a flamer. I mean, just because you're gay doesn't mean you have to put it up in everyone's face like that. He was just so, oh, you bitch.
David, I'm not very comfortable with this line of conversation.
That's so unfair. You wouldn't say that if I was a straight guy talking about my date.
Yes, he would. It is inappropriate for work, and it can create a hostile environment. Both hostile environment harassment and quid pro quo harassment meet the legal definition of sexual harassment. It is C.N. Brown's policy that employees who violate this policy will be subject to disciplinary action at the discretion of management, including, without limitation, suspension and termination. Supervisors or members of management who violate this policy or fail to report violations of others of which they become aware will also be subject to disciplinary action, including, without limitation, suspension and termination. If you feel you've been the subject of sexual harassment, report the incident immediately to your immediate supervisor, your divisional supervisor, or any corporate officer for directions. Complaints will be investigated confidentially and thoroughly. The company will need the specifics of your complaint in writing. C.N. Brown will not retaliate or punish you for complaining about sexual harassment. To discipline or change the work assignments of an employee for fighting against conditions that should not be tolerated is against the laws of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and it's against our idea of what's right. Sexual harassment, all kinds of harassment really, keep us from being able to do our jobs. Preventing harassment and reporting it is important. It's more than just trying to stop rudeness or bad behavior. It's about making sure we all have a right to work without fear of harassment.